beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel and this review of the Makeup Revolution and Emily Noel's The Wands palette. Wait, it's called the Emily Edit The Wands palette. I did use this palette for this look right here, and this is very neutral for being me. I very rarely use browns on my channel. I very rarely do neutral looks, but I did film 3 looks with this palette, and that is being live tomorrow. This one being one of them. I decided to do a neutral look with a pop of purple on the lower lash line. I will let you know more thoughts about how this look came to be in tomorrow's video, so don't forget to subscribe so you can see that video as well. This is what the palette looks like. I have had this palette for a couple of weeks. I did buy this palette myself. I ordered it from the Revolution Beauty site here in Europe, and I paid £19.99, I think. Or is it euro? No, I'm pretty sure it's £19.99. Yes. And this is what the palette looks like. It is a bunch of colors. How many colors are there? 24? Could that be it? Yeah. 6. I cannot count. 24 shadows. And I would say that these are shimmers, satins, and mattes. I don't know if I would describe any of these as metallics. Maybe the like reddish mauvey ones and the gold is slightly borderline metallic, but the other ones are shimmers. And I've actually seen a couple of reviews on this palette, and let me know, I made up my mind about this palette first time I used it, and then the more I've used it, because I've filmed 3 looks and I've used it a bunch of times outside of YouTube, out and about, and also just sitting down playing with it, taking it off, sitting down playing with it. That is how I do to like get to know a palette, especially a big palette like this one. And I feel like this palette is okay. Like, if that's all you want to know about this review, it is an okay palette. I don't hate it. Here's the tea. I'm not a fan of Makeup Revolution's eyeshadow formula, so I would not have bought this palette if it wasn't a collaboration with a YouTuber that I really love and respect. I love Emily Noel, and I will leave her channel down below so you can check her out if you for any reason I haven't seen her channel. And I did actually think that the variety of colors was pretty fun. I mean, she is very much into berries, so I pretty much knew there's gonna be some berries, there's gonna be some reds and pinks, and there's gonna be like some mauves. Like, that is the kind of colors that she does, and also neutrals. I personally am not a big fan of big palettes, but I know a lot of people are, so I know a lot of people see that as like a pro for the palette. Like, that's not a con, it's a pro that it has so many shades to choose from. I think that is just a personal preference. I know a lot of people say that they love big palettes. Personally, I love smaller palettes, and I will have to say, one second, I have another palette from Makeup Revolution, and like, I have a couple of palettes from Makeup Revolution that I enjoy. These 2, for instance, was the holiday collection from last year, and I know that they are still like available and you can buy them, so I don't think that they were limited edition, but they came out for holidays last year. I also have the first Soph does nails and Makeup Revolution. This is also, this one has a sheet like this, and I'm guessing that that's what Emily wanted to avoid. This also has 24 eyeshadows, but can we look at like, these have the same amount of eyeshadows, and yeah, okay, wow, okay. Look at the size difference. These have 24 eyeshadows, both of them, but this one has more product. Hey, doggo! Aww. My boyfriend just came home. What? My fiance just came home. So this one actually has more product than this one. Why is it so big? Is that what she said? No, that's definitely not what she said. I'm guessing it's to make it seem like you're getting something bigger and more value for your money, because this one is more expensive than this one. Sorry, I had to take a break because, well, he came home with a dog and it just turned very chaotic very fast. But I was basically saying, like, These are the same amount of shadows. This actually has more grams per shadow than this has. The only difference is that this has a bigger mirror, a bigger packaging, and it has names. The thing is though that the Makeup Revolution and Sof Does Nails palette number 2 is the same size as this one, and it also has names on the packaging. So I cannot help to think that this palette was made larger to seem more like a value so that I could charge more. Because the Sof Does Nails palettes, same amount of shadows. This one has more product. I'm guessing the other palette has a little less product because it has the names. I will put a picture up here so you can see like how that one looks on the inside. But just remember, same amount of shadows as this one, and it also has the names inside. Just a smaller mirror and smaller packaging, which to be honest, I would prefer. The Sof Does Nails palettes are £11.99. So you're paying £8 more for a bigger packaging and a bigger mirror. I don't know if I think that that's worth £8. And I'm not trying to be shady. This is the thing. Emily Noel is a much larger YouTuber, like a much larger influencer than Sof Does Nails is, even though Sof is a pretty big deal here in Europe, let's be honest. But so I told, like, people have to get paid. Like, I am not here to say that influencers and YouTubers should not get paid. I think that they should get paid. I put down a lot of work on my channel, and I can only imagine someone that actually works with this, like as their full-time career, how much time they're putting down. So I do think that they should get paid more, but I cannot help to think that this is slightly... It's like I would have paid extra just to get it in a smaller packaging. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. I would have paid £20 for this size, and I would have preferred that. That's just what I'm trying to say. Not to sound shady, that is just me not really loving the size of this because it is so big. And I never travel with big palettes, and I never use mirrors in a palette. Can you see my... Do you see that? Those are my yellow fleece sweatpants. Because I'm cold. We're in Sweden. Don't judge me. And I just would have preferred for this packaging to be smaller because this is very clunky and very big. And I personally am not a fan of plastic packaging either, like this one. I prefer cardboard packaging. That is a personal preference because I feel it's better for the environment. And also I just like the feel of that better. And I also think that that's shielding the shadow in a better way. Personal preference. Personal preference, nothing else. With these shadows, like I said, I will say that I think that this palette is okay. I think that you have to be like, what is my preference? I prefer shadows that are boom pigment in your face and you don't have to build it up. Personal preference. These can be built up. I mean, I feel like I have pretty good pigmentation on my eyes right now, but this is not going in once with shadows. This is building up 3 different shadows, going in more than one time, packing it on, really blending it in, and making sure that you get the maximum pigmentation. So it's doable, and I know a lot of people out there like that type of eyeshadow, and I know a lot of people really love this palette, and I'm not regretting buying this palette. I am so happy to have supported Emily, and I'm so happy that she got to collaborate with a company that she really likes. Personally, I prefer a different formula. That's just all. I will say, this family is that's not a good shade. That is actually such a bad shade that I couldn't make it work. Because I was trying to use this off camera and just see like, can you do a purple smoky look? And this shadow is magic because even if you pack it on your brush, nothing's showing up on your lid. That's not the kind of magic I'm looking for in makeup. So I really dislike family. The other shadows I can make work. But since these are pretty sheer and since a lot of these shadows are pretty light, I don't know how you'd like this if you are of a darker skin tone. And that's just a personal thing. I like the mattes better than I like the shimmers. I think that Heartbeat, Pizzazz, Good Vibes, and Top Story are really nice shimmers. Almost borderlining like metallics. I don't need to spray my brush to use those. Although I will say that all of these shadows benefit from using either spraying or using your finger. You keep asking me how I do when I spray my shadows. I never spray on the brush first and then go into the pan, because that is like, you don't want the spray in the pans, because there is a risk that you're gonna get hard pan or changing the formula, and you don't want that. So I always swirl my brush first, and then I spray whatever got picked up on the brush directly on the brush. So I never spray or put any liquids in the shadows. I try to avoid that. I will say that all of these shadows pretty much benefit from some spray. The rest of the shadows are pretty crumbly, and a spray will get them to stick together so you can really apply them on the eyes. But I did not have that much luck with using any of these shadows without spray, unless it was any of these four, like the reddish, goldish tones. I will say that this cream, I love using a matte white or matte like off-white. This is not pigmented enough to be a favorite of mine in that category, but I do appreciate that that is the kind of color she put in the palette instead of a bone color, because I prefer something that's lighter and brighter like this. These three mattes here, and actually Douce Paid as well, they work so amazing. Like, these four shadows are so good. I also kind of like these three matte colors here, like three transition shades, one being more of a peachy brown, one being more of a grayish brown, and one being more of a mauvey brown. Don't know if you need all three. I totally get why all three are in the palette. Same here if you have a darker skin tone. I don't know if you're gonna benefit from any of these actually four shades, to be honest. Dark and early doesn't swatch that good, but it does darken a look, and that is what you want. It's also not the kind of like intimidating black that will be like, oh my god, it's too much, I don't know what to do. This will just slightly darken your look and make it more sultry, and I think that this is a good addition in a palette like this, since all of the other colors are not extremely pigmented, unless we're talking about these four mattes here. I did enjoy corduroy. I have a look with corduroy coming tomorrow. I did enjoy it. Not the best green I've ever used, but totally workable, and I did enjoy that one. So yeah, I think that was like everything. Like I said, some of the mattes are really good, some of the mattes are okay. One of the mattes I don't like at all. I think most of the shimmers are okay, especially if you use like a finger or like a setting spray. You can totally make them work, and I mean, I like the look that I have right now, but it's not like my favorite formula to work with. And that's just the way it is. We all have our preferences, and my preference, like I said, is going in with color and just bam, getting pigment straight away. Let me just show you some swatches of this palette. I always try to show you some swatches. I want to tell you also how I do my swatches. I do finger swatches on clean skin, no foundation, no primer, and I show you in two different lightings, just so you can see how they actually look. And I haven't done these swatches yet, and I'm kind of wondering how that purple is gonna swatch, so you'll see right now. Okay, so to sum it up, how do I feel about this palette? I think it's okay. It is no different from other Makeup Revolution formulas that I've tried, although I will say I do prefer the formula that is in the Soph palette, but I think the reason why this one is something I like better is because she kept to a lot of these warm neutrals that Makeup Revolution does good, to be honest. I have heard from a lot of, like, more than one owner of indie brands that brown eyeshadows and warm eyeshadows are much easier to do than matte, cooler eyeshadows or matte, colorful eyeshadows. Those are not as easy to formulate, and they are not as easy to grind and to mix with binders and to make them into a good formula. And I'm guessing that's also a reason why Makeup Revolution does neutrals and warm neutrals so good, but when it comes to other kinds of mattes, they're somewhat lacking. I also think the shimmers in this palette is better than the shimmers in the Emily palette, and I don't really know why that is, because Makeup Revolution can make a good shimmery formula. It is unfortunate that I didn't find that very good formula in the Emily Edit palette. Instead, I got an okay formula. So I'm hoping that you don't take this as like too negative of a review. I love Emily and I am so happy that I have this palette. If I had the opportunity to return my palette, I wouldn't, because I want to support her. And if you want to support her and you buy this palette loving her, I don't think you'll hate the palette. But I also don't think that I want to like hype it up and say like, this is such an amazing palette, you don't need anything else, because that's just not how I feel about the palette. It's okay. It's okay. Tomorrow I'm gonna have 3 looks up with this palette, this being one of them, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss that in case you bought the palette and you want some inspiration on how to use it. I usually try to do really colorful looks, so 2 of the looks are more colorful, and then it's this one that's a neutral with a purple lower lash line. So I think that was everything. I will see you tomorrow. Bye!